almost live right now.
Okay.
You guys are back. We're starting.
All right. There's nothing on the screen.
Yeah, we're live right now, and we'll get the images to your guys' TVs up here in a little bit.
All right. Oh, good morning, and welcome to the Gruber podcast. We apologize for the delay. We had some, what do we call them, technical difficulties, but I believe we're back online now, so Instagram, YouTube. Hopefully you guys didn't tune us out, because I know some of you probably started watching us right at 10:30. I got 10:35 right now, but anyway, what we were talking about last week was the line card. Well, first of all, my name's Claude Dixon.
I'm Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny Hodges. Lenny is he's our senior technician out in our depot. We were talking about line cards last week. Yeah, the information that our account managers send to the customers that dictates what we offer in terms of products and services. And if you could put that up one more time, just to slide number 1, that shows our line card.
Yeah, is this the image that...
Yeah, the first image, the line card.
Gotcha.
Slide number 1. No, that's okay. Hey, you guys, don't worry about it. Just leave that one up. Just leave the one that was up there, the frame. Okay. Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Okay, so if you look at products, what we're going to focus on today is the first bullet underneath products. We offer new and refurbished UPSs for sale. So what we're going to do is unpack the refurbished UPS. We're going to take it all the way down to nothing and then walk you through what we do in terms of refurbishment. Right now, we're just going to focus on the components, and then we'll get in another podcast, a future podcast, we'll talk about the administrative side of what we do in terms of the testing and the paperwork associated with it. So let's go to slide A, which is a picture of the 80 kVA frame. We're going to be focusing on the Symetra PX, okay, which happens to be our hottest 3-phase seller. So here you go. If you can expand that a little bit more. When I think of a frame, this is the frame. And when I think of a frame, I think of the skeleton of a human body. Okay, there's no organs. And if you look at this, the frame of a Symetra UPS is basically empty. It does not have any of the components in it, with the exception of a few. There are some things in it. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see the static switch. We'll talk about that later. And also, if you look at the very top, probably can't see it really well in this image, but you'll see what we call a MIM and a RIM. We'll go over that a little later too. So Lenny, when you bring in the UPS and you take all of the components out of it and you're just focused on the frame, what do you do to it in terms of refurbishment?
Well, what I do is I pull everything out. Any removable modular components that we repair in-house, we remove everything, we refurbish them, first of all. Then what I do is I'll take off all the side panels, I'll take off all the back panels, I'll take off the top panel, everything. And then what I'll do is I'll inspect for any broken wires, any dents, any fabrication to the metal, or repair work to the metal that has to be done. Any removing dents, paint, whatever. And then on the back side, make sure all the bus bars, every screw, every washer, everything that's supposed to be there is there, and that everything is symmetrical. Like if one's missing a washer, make sure a washer's on that. Make sure the bus bars, there's no corrosion on them. Make sure everything's tight, all the wiring's there. Make sure there's no loose debris, loose hardware, because you'll see that come in too from vibration, from shipping it or something. You'll see loose hardware in there. You'll see dirt, debris. I mean, when I first got into this position, I opened up one of my first frames and I found like 500 zip ties just thrown inside the top of the cabinet. And so you find stuff like that because... Like you said, this is refurbishing, so we buy used products from customers or whoever's liquidating their assets like this, and so everything is taken down to like I said, the stud. It's like a house. You take it down to the studs, and then make sure the studs are good, and then build it back up.
And of course, the unit, just to say it, because safety is first out there. Obviously, this unit is not energized.
No.
Okay, it has not been wired up. It has just been brought into the depot, and Lenny examines it. So, what are some? If you had to name 2 things that are typical that you have to repair in the refurbishment process on the frame, what would it be?
Usually it's missing hardware. On the frame itself is usually missing hardware, loose hardware, and then repairs for dents and scratches, to the metal. But usually it's just missing hardware. That's the biggest thing, is missing hardware.
Right. Okay. So again, that image disappeared, but what you were looking at was the APC 80 kVA Symetra PX frame. The PX is our fastest mover in terms of 3-phase product, refurbished 3-phase product, and so that's the reason why we decided to highlight it. If you can pull up slide B, we're going to transition to one of the components that we pull out of the PX and examine. Right there, you heard me mention earlier the MEM and the REM. MEM stands for Main Intelligence Module. REM stands for Redundant Intelligence Module, basically the brains of the UPS. So walk us through that process. What do you do with these 2 components?
Well, what we'll do is we'll pull them out, we'll clean them, we'll open them up, look for any burnt components, anything that's broken, clean them up, refurbish them as we need as far as replacement components. If they need a firmware upgrade, we'll try to do a firmware upgrade to them. That doesn't always go as smoothly when it comes to the MEMS for a PX. Sometimes you can actually brick them, lock them up, but we try our best to put the newest firmware that we have available on there. And then, like I said, look for broken connectors, broken screws, anything like that. And then make sure it's, and then once that's all done, we'll put it back into the unit. And then when we do the operational test, that's when we'll actually test it out with every component in the frame.
Okay, so looking at that module, the one sitting on the top, so when you say connections, are you talking about?
I'm talking about there's a back connector,
right,
and there's a power connector. There's a data connector, and there's a power connector.
So you're not opening it up.
So we do actually open them up. We open them up, we wipe the chassis, we wipe the lids inside, we blow off the boards, because even though there's no fan or anything pulling in air, pulling in debris, just sitting there and just a general dirt in the air will actually inside of those. So we clean them, because like we said on our previous podcast last year, that dirt can actually hinder some of this equipment because it traps heat. So we blow off the boards inside of these 2. We look for any broken components, burnt components, or anything like that.
Okay.
We also test components if they're failing to replace them.
Okay, I see.
So yeah.
So if you guys remember the slide before, it was the frame itself. So these 2 components are at the top. It's just like the human body. Excuse me, where our brain is. Our brain is right here in our heads. Same thing with this. If you look at the frame, there you go. Expand a little bit. These 2 components are right at the top. You can see them. They sit side by side. They slide in. They're modular and they slide in. Okay, so the next component in this frame, if you see that, is the power module. Thank you very much. Slide B there. Slide C. That right there is a 10 kVA power module. And there's 8 of them that go in this frame. Actually, there's 9. It's an N+1. So, which means that there's an extra power module in case one goes down. The N+1 turns on. But anyway, the same thing here in terms of refurbishment. Walk us through what you're doing with that 10 kVA power module.
So what we'll do with this is like any other module, that individual module we get, we'll pull the covers off. We'll look for any components, any loose hardware, anything that's broken, anything that's burnt. We'll test components to see if they're failures, if they need to replace them before we do anything. We check for the fans, make sure all the fans are connected, everything's connected inside. And then once that's all done, we'll close it back up and we'll test them like we do with the MEMS. We'll put them back in, and then we'll test the components all together as a full unit. So, and then of course on the backside you got power and data connectors. So we'll make sure that the connectors aren't cracked. There's no broken or bent pins, or the casings around the pin aren't broken also or cracked. So
Okay, so what I hear so far is check, 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 inspect, check, 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 inspect.
right,
Are
and
you-
clean also,
Okay, are you replacing anything in the market?
if it's necessary.
Okay, and what are you typically replacing?
There's usually capacitors that we'll have to replace. There's a cards in there that we'll end up having to replace also,
Okay.
if they're failing at the time.
Okay,
So a lot of it all depends on what we find once we open it up. If there's anything broken, burnt, disconnected, or whatever, we'll fix it at that point. If everything checks out good, there's no replacement.
okay. And when you say everything checks out good, this is the piece, this is the burn-in part of it, where you're putting it in the unit, a running unit itself.
After we've done the initial inspection, right? After we've done the initial inspection.
And then how long is the burn-in?
For just an individual module like this, it's an hour and a half to 2 hours. For a PX frame, we try to do it at least 8 hours.
Okay.
6 to 8 hours for the frame. Run it all day.
Okay, and I want to reiterate that we sell the UPS with all of its components, okay, as a single unit, but we also sell individual components. So everything that we've gone to, the frame we can sell by itself. The intelligence modules we sell by themselves. The power modules we sell by themselves. Okay, it looks like we need to hit a few questions up here. You want to take the first one?
Here, hi. What is the subject? Today we're discussing the Symmetra 80K PX, and what we're doing with that is we're just showing you background. Like Claude mentioned in the beginning, we're just peeling back what we do in the depot as far as refurbishment from cradle to grave, and this is the first piece that we're looking at and how we're go about that process.
Okay. What kind of hardware? I think you just went over that. I think we're getting to these kind of late because we went over that already. Can you scroll up? Are these part of the maintenance agreement? They can be. Any UPS out there we can put on a maintenance agreement. So to answer your question, yes, the Symmetra PX can be on a maintenance agreement. We have several. In fact, to be honest with you, modular units are like half of what we service. We have a lot of LXs, which is an APC product. We have a lot of PXs, which is an APC product that we service on a daily basis. So that the answer to your question is yes. All right, let's go to slide D. Slide D, which is the system card holder.
This is a input output. Basically, it's a control panel. It works in conjunction with the MEMS to actually monitor parts of this. So you've got your main, your DC disconnect, which is your battery power. Then you have your power switch to the right of that. From our view, vantage point, which is your AC power coming from the
But
building.
you have all your cards.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's go slide E. Slide E. So what you're looking at is the faceplate. So this card right here is the power supply that slides into that housing.
That powers the control panel. Right?
Okay.
System power supply, it's actually powering that control panel. It doesn't power the unit itself.
Okay. And then slide F, if you can.
This is just a network management card. This is basically you can remotely manage your system through the internet, through a GUI-based interface. And then you can, you can do all your settings for your system through this. You can shut it down. You can turn on your power. Everything you need to do, run, like I said, run self-test, run battery tests from this. So it's a good way to monitor the system and how it's working.
And are you doing any type of refurbishment on this?
We do. I mean, if the battery, if the service mount caps there, those 4 tall or 5 tall silver items there, if there's bad, we replace them. And then also if that battery goes out, we'll replace it.
Okay. That battery's sitting right, the lithium ion flat battery sitting right on the top there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, slide I. The battery monitoring. Okay, you just talked about the network supply. Let's see. Slide I? Is that what that is? Should be the battery monitoring card. There we go. That's it right there. Can you expand that a little bit?
So what this does is, especially with an 80K frame, because there's no internal batteries to an 80K frame, so you have to have a separate battery cabinet, or what they call XR, which is extended runtime. So this monitors the batteries that are in that battery cabinet. It also monitors the batteries within the system. Also, is say if you have a 40K unit, because a 40K unit has a 16 battery slots. It'll monitor those batteries. It also monitors batteries in the an external battery cabinet, and then subsequent battery cabinets that are daisy chained with that.
Okay. All right. And then just for kicks, go ahead and put in slide 20. Just wanted to show you the technician workspace. This is one of our benches out there. Not that picture, but slide 20. Slide 20 is the technician workspace. You guys, yeah, that's not it, but there, no, that's not it. There's one more. There we go. So there you go, Lenny. Why don't you explain to us what's going on there?
So this is a workbench that we use for module repair. This is where we actually do component replacement on circuit boards that were within the modular units that are also the PCBs are in the frame too. So this is where we actually do component replacement for that.
Okay, and let's put in slide 22. This is a picture of an actual technician, our technician, Isaac Rensnick, actually working on I believe that's a 4KP, if I'm not mistaken. That module goes into an LX, which is a single phase APC product. But you can, if you look really closely, I don't know if we can expand that a little bit. The casing has been lifted and he's actually working inside of the module. I'm doing some refurbishment work, checking it out. Just want to show you what that looks like up close and personal. All right, let's go to slide G, which is the static switch. What's going on with that static switch, Lenny? What are you in terms of refurbishment?
Oh, what we do with that is we'll check there's actually a configuration card that goes into that actually tells your frame capability.
Hold on.
What its capacity
there it is right there.
Right. In the top right corner there, it's actually a configuration card that will actually tell the system how it's supposed to be configured. And then the static switch allows us to go in and out of static bypass.
Okay.
Everything in order to perform maintenance.
Are you doing any work inside of it?
Actually, we do. There's actually a couple boards. There's actually relays in there that we'll try to fix, and then the power supply card will fix. There's a data card, and then of course there's 3 cooling fans in the front there that we'll replace as necessary. But this gets the same treatment as everything else. We open it up, we blow it out, we wipe everything down, we look for anything that's out of place, check for loose hardware. The same thing that we do for every other modular piece that we work on.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. And then slide H is the battery module itself. There you go. So go ahead and talk about that. What's inside of it? I mean, there's really not any refurbishment work per se that we're doing on that. Obviously, we're putting brand new batteries inside of each module. If you can recollect the frame I showed you, that was just the power frame. There's no battery modules in that frame I showed you. So this would be an additional cabinet that we would add and wire into the PX80. And each cabinet holds 32 of these power modules, which equates to 8 strings. Strings meaning in groups of 4. And if you open this up, what is there, 8 or 9 batteries? I always get confused.
There's eight batteries in this, and then sometimes they do get a refurbishment. Like with the other things, we'll have to hammer out dents, we'll have to straighten the cases out. Sometimes a battery has leaked acid out of them, so we'll have to scrub that off too. If there's any corrosion, get rid of that. And then also, just like the other modular pieces, this has a connector. We have to check for the pins and everything, make sure the connector is good also. Make sure that that's not crushed in the back.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, we're building these modules. So also in the depot, we have a battery production area where brand new batteries are inserted inside of these modules, and we build them. We get orders for them, just 4 modules, and we build them. So that's a big part of our business out there. So go ahead and put in slide number 22. The picture that you're going to see now is not the PX, but it's the LX, but I just wanted to show it to you fully populated. And this is an actual unit that we have out in our depot. That's slide number 22. There we go. So if you can zoom in. Yeah. Okay. The configuration is a little different, but if you look to the left, you'll see the 3 power modules. You can see the fan assembly on each one of them. So those power modules slide in and out, modular. And if you look to the upper right, you can see the MEM and the RIM. They're stacked on top of each other. See that there? The upper right. Aside from the power module, they sit right next to the power module. And then if you look down on the right, you'll see 3 battery modules that slide in and out. And again, this is the LX, not the PX, but it's the same game. You know, it's just a 3-phase unit versus a single-phase unit. So there you go, fully populated. So when you hear the word populated, that means that all the components have been inserted into the frame. Okay, and if every slot is full, like this one right here, this particular unit is not fully populated. Why, Lenny?
This is what the customer wanted. This is what the customer ordered. So they want, so they have 3 power modules. So it's a 12 kVA unit, and then they have 3 backup batteries. Now this has the capability to be a 16K unit with a redundant backup power module in case one fails. The redundant takes over, and of course it has capacity for 4 batteries also. And then of course, like this, the LX, just like the PX, you can have external battery cabinets for additional runtime also.
Okay. And to hit one of the questions up here, we've got, do these services come included if I purchase a service contract? We're talking about depot services, so that's apart from the service contract. Now, if you sell a unit out of the depot, yes, we can attach a service agreement to that, and we do. You basically, when you sell that particular product, we typically attach a service contract to it. We go out, we install it, we do the PM on it, and it becomes, basically a contract at that point. What are the pros and cons of the PX? I mean, there's a bunch of them. The biggest one is that it's user-friendly. I think it's one of the most uncomplicated units to understand, my personal opinion. I'm not a technical person. I don't have an engineering degree. I have a couple of business degrees. But from a business perspective, I mean, I could go in and change these modules out, and it's just really user-friendly. The other pro is that if one module goes down, guess what? Your whole system isn't going to go down. You still have backup power to your unit, okay? Because of the redundancy associated with it in the power modules as well as the battery modules. Anything you want to add there as far as the pros and cons?
Life expectancy. It's amazing that, typically, or what the OEM manufacturer states, that, these systems are supposed to have a lifetime or runtime of like 10 years, but I've seen frames come in here that are 20 plus years old. Everything's still working, so it's just a matter. Environmental factors play into that. A lot of on-off battery replacement, stuff like that. There's a lot of things that go into the life expectancy of the machine, but they're solidly built. And it's amazing how much more use we're able to get out of them now, even though the manufacturer says, no, this is, the time frame, but they're very reliable and they last a long time.
Yeah. And they're a lot more efficient than the old stuff that's in the field, a lot more efficient in terms of the power factor. The other question we have here is, do you have a warranty on the equipment that you repair? Yes. Anything that we sell, if we sell a fully populated UPS, you're going to get a year warranty on that. And depending on the depth of refurbishment, you could get anywhere from a 90-day to a 1-year warranty on components as well. So that's big. Anything else you want to hit on that?
No, that's about it for that one.
Okay. So what we basically talked about is the cleaning and kind of like the inspection part of the refurbishment process. What we didn't talk about is the paces that we put the UPS through, and also the report that's generated, what's on the report, the power quality analysis, the load banking of the UPS. We're going to cover that in next week's podcast and walk you down through what the customer is going to get besides the unit in a packet that we call it a warranty packet. The report goes inside of that. So they have all basically the health check on what the UPS went through while it was in the depot. Okay, so one thing that we want to bring back is the Did You Know segment of our podcast. So we're going to start that today, and I want everybody right now, I'm giving you the authority to do this, I want everybody right now that's still on to pull out their cell phone. Do we have anybody on? Few people? Okay.
Yeah, there's about 15 people watching on YouTube alone. So
okay, pull out your cell phone. Yes, I'm giving you the authorization to do that. Nobody's going to come slap you on the hand. Do me a favor, don't watch any videos except for this one. But anyway, I have something very, very special on the table here, and I'm going to turn it around and look. I know you can't see it, but these are minerals, believe it or not, and there's 12 of them, and all 12 of these minerals are in your cell phone. Okay, so what we're going to do over the next few podcasts is we're going to talk about 2 or 3 of them. So the 2 that we're going to talk about today, you may or may not have heard of them, is the first one is kunzite. Kunzite, and I actually have the actual mineral right here. It's a pinkish mineral, and it's from Afghanistan. And believe it or not, this thing has lithium in it. That's one of the compositions of it. Go ahead and take it. Is lithium. And when you look at your cell phone, where do you have lithium in this cell phone? Anybody want to guess? Where is lithium in your cell phone? What part or component in your cell phone has lithium in it? We'll wait and see who replies.
Claude, would you like me to pull up the slide that you have?
Yes. So that's what kunzite looks like. Okay, it's a mineral from Afghanistan. I have the actual one here in my hand. It has lithium in it. The battery inside of your cell phone has kunzite in it, believe it or not. And this is a very, very expensive mineral. The rock that I have in my hand is like $300. So it's not cheap. Yeah, it's coming in now. Battery. Great job, you guys. Awesome. So another one that's amazing that's in your cell phone, it's called beryl. And that is Be on the periodic chart of the elements. And beryl is in the circuitry and the PCB boards inside of your cell phone. And I actually have examples of beryl. Put up that slide if you would. It's the slide number blah, 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 23. Slide 23. Okay, you probably have heard of some of these, but there's many types of beryl. It's a high-end gemstone. Okay, it's not a semi-precious stone, it's a precious stone. And the 2 examples of beryl that I have here, one is a Colombian emerald. Compliments of my best friend Grant. He gifted this to me. We don't know how much this thing is worth, but it's worth, our guess is thousands and thousands of dollars. This is like a high-end emerald. It's rough. It's a beautiful thing. And so that's one type of beryl, believe it or not, that could be inside of your cell phone. You want to hold that one while I get the other one? The second example I have, rough example, and it's a beautiful, beautiful stone, is aquamarine. You can see that right here. If you can put up the slide before again, yeah, you can see the down at the bottom there, aqua. And then I have the rough stone right here. I'm a rough stone person, and the reason why I say that, you see all those gemstones on the slide? Man had something to do with that. They polished them, they shaped them, they faceted them. I'm not really into that. I'm into how God created them. And this is what the thing looks like when you pull it out of the ground. I think it's absolutely awesome. So you have beryl inside of your cell phone. The other thing that's really cool about this, just for kicks, beryl is talked about, for all those Bible people out there, beryl is mentioned in Revelations 21:20. It is one of the foundational walls of the new heavenly city, they call it the New Jerusalem, beryl. So you can look at all the different colors, all the different, kind of like all the different colors, textures, that kind of thing of the stone. But for those of you who are watching internally, if you want to see these, come on down to my office. I'll have them out. But please leave them in my office.
Hey, you said this is thousands of dollars,
yeah,
right?
it is, man.
Good thing I can't run.
It is. Yeah. Okay, let's go back up and hit some of these responses real quick. So we've got one up here. Can you read the first one, Lenny?
From John VS, one of the biggest things customers like is the fact that the PX is user-friendly, as you mentioned, Claude. You don't have to call out the OEM for every little thing.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Mm-hmm.
Just definitely true.
What is the rock next to the coffee cup? I think that was the Kuhn site at the time. Okay. I am watching on my cell, so I'm ready for it. Okay. What do we win? Oh, somebody's begging already. Okay. Emerald, Grant Mobile. Same thing as Emerald Aquamarine. Okay, he's talking about Burrow there. Okay, cool. So next week we'll hit 2 more of these. I think you're going to be amazed with what is in the cell phone. Some of them you'll know, like copper. That's obviously one of them. You know, the copper wiring and things like that. But we're bringing back Did You Know, effective today. Anything else, buddy, to close it out?
No. Thanks for having me on again.
Okay.
Looking forward to next week.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.